James Ernest, Growing Truth Radio Network, here with author Jerry Thornton. 5 rings, the Super Bowl history of the New England Patriots, and of course the most important part there at the end, so far. So, what inspired you to write the book?
Quite honestly, because I wanted to read this book, James. I've been sitting around waiting for somebody to tell this story, and I write about the Patriots every day for Barstool Sports, which is a fantasy way to make a living, believe me. And I just felt like I'm writing about them every day. I'm reacting to every game, but it seemed like nobody had really pulled back and given us the 30,000-foot Google Earth view of what we're witnessing. I mean, I'm a Patriots fan, I make no bones about it, but to me, I think this story is remarkable, even if you're not a Pats fan or a football fan or even a sports fan, because there's been virtually nothing like it in really American culture. This team, this franchise went from completely irrelevant, where the facility was terrible, the team was awful, they were always on the verge of moving, their home games weren't on TV. They break through in 2001 and win an unlikely championship. For a short time, they became America's sweetheart, and then a few years thereafter, not only became disliked, but the most polarizing, divisive, and controversial institution in American society. It's incredible how they've become hated and reviled, and there's been scandals all the time. They've become hyper-relevant on the field. They've been to 8 Super Bowls, all of which were ridiculously close and came down to a play or two. And there's been scandals. Some of them are cooked up, some of them are fake, but they've just grabbed a hold of the national consciousness in a way that seemed impossible as little as 18 years ago.
So do you feel football is currently the most popular thing in America?
Yes, I would say not even America's most popular sport. It's our thing. It's the sort of, I guess, water cooler of American society, because as we get more divided, and I don't mean politically, I just mean there's so many more options that you have now than there used to be between, apps and cable and streaming and everyone has their own playlists of music or whatever. The one thing that has really held the country's attention is football. And I know it's sort of starting to trend downward, but it's still the most popular thing that we have. And during this whole time, the Patriots have been front and center of that whole rise.
So why are you a fan of the Patriots?
I ask myself that a lot, especially up until about 2001, because it was not a rewarding endeavor, believe me. I grew up as the youngest of 5. My older brothers were big into them. Like, we were a Patriots first household back when the Celtics were winning championships, and when I was a little, the Bruins had Bobby Orr. In between, the Red Sox dominated the conversation. And saying that you like the Patriots most during those days was like someone saying, who's your favorite of the Three Stooges? And you say Shemp. Like, what? Like, nobody likes Shemp. And, it's paid off. It has certainly been rewarding, but during this era, they've just simply been the most compelling and engaging team, not just in Boston, but I'd say in the country.
Yeah, I know what you mean about being tough to be a fan sometimes. I'm in northern Kentucky, so we're right by the Bengals, and then Cleveland's not too far from us either, so that's 2 examples of it's tough to be a fan, but it's good to be a fan.
Yeah, absolutely. And there are those days where it pays off. I've spoken to Jets fans about it and say, we used to be where you are. And it was tough. There's very little rewards there, but this has gone so far beyond my wildest dreams. I keep thinking that I'm going to find out that I bumped my head in 2001, and I've actually dreamed the last 18 years, and they've actually moved to St. Louis, and there's no football here, and I had to raise my kids as Giants fans, God forbid.
Ooh, yeah, that would be a rough one.
Yeah, it would be a nightmare.
So, are they ever boring?
That's the thing. No, they are not. And when they lose games, it's football-mageddon. It's the end of days. The rivers are going to run backwards. The wolf goddess will swallow the moon. And they lost to Jacksonville last week, and they weren't all that competitive. It was a bad game. Everything went wrong, and just the hand wringing, and the people around here like grabbing their pearls and falling on their fainting couches. Well, I did the math, James, and over the last 15 years, they've averaged 3.4 losses per year. Like, and every time they lose, people lose their and some of those, by the way, include the end of the year where they can sort of mail it in because they have a playoff spot. So every time they lose, people go nuts. And I chalk that up to when you're that competitive, when you're in the hunt year in and year out, you don't have the luxury of easy losses. If they go to the AFC Championship game, which, by the way, they've done each of the last 7 years, which is impossible, and you lose, for most teams, it's like, oh, they came so close, that was a good year. Around here, it's, what are they going to do? The coach has failed. He's a bad GM. This is a disaster. And I've just learned to just kind of roll with it and enjoy the ride because it's incomparable to any other thing that has happened, certainly in this town.
Obviously, the Josh Gordon thing is another example of this. Is it that the Patriots are that smart, or that everyone else is that stupid to not pick him up for a 5th-round draft pick, and if it goes bad, a 7th?
Exactly. It's at the point where anytime some high-profile, and to use the cliche, trouble player becomes available, or is even hinted to be available, everyone just goes, oh, look for the Patriots to grab him. They're going to grab him. Well, Josh Gordon wasn't really being linked to the Pats. It just sort of happened. And not only for a 5th-round pick, but if he doesn't work out, they get a 7th-round pick back. Well, you look at Cleveland, if you're the 7th-round pick, you're basically the last pick of the 6th round. And so they'll only move back about 30-something spots if he doesn't work out. And if he does, he's just such a transcendent talent that people are speculating it could be Randy Moss 2.0, and I wouldn't discount it if he works out. That's a very big if.
Yeah, I mean, that's just one of those things that just baffle you that, someone didn't say, hey, wait, our 5th pick is going to be a better 5th pick than theirs. Let me give you a pick. Or even then, you know what, to block them so he doesn't score touchdowns against, say, Jacksonville in the playoffs, Jacksonville give a 4th just to not have to worry about that.
Yeah, I get this theory that Belichick just calls teams and he does this like Jedi mind trick or something. Like he just starts talking and they, their eyes glaze over and they just go, okay, these are the draft picks we're looking for. These are, I remember back when Al Davis, God rest his soul, was still operating. Belichick used to rip him off blind to the point where he gave a 6th-round pick for Randy Moss, in a deal that he made with the vice president of the Raiders, and Al Davis called him up furious, like, a 6th-round pick. He goes, well, what do you want? He goes, I want at least a 4th. Okay, I'll give you a 4th. And Davis came away feeling like he got a really good deal. No, Randy Moss set a record for touchdown passes in a season that still hasn't been broken. So why teams even answer his phone calls is beyond me.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
Block that caller.
I'm just glad they didn't get Mac as well. Sheesh.
Oh, yeah. The problem with that is he comes at a high price. And, Khalil Mack deserves it. But I just think they don't want to spend that money and then have to let go of guys in other areas. Whereas Josh Gordon is going to cost them next to nothing. And exactly. By the way, if he reverts to Josh Gordon's form, and I hope for his sake and mine that he doesn't. I mean, the guy clearly is troubled and has substance abuse problems. He can't get off his back. But if he steps out of line, they've just created this machine where they can just go, oh, goodbye. I mean, we've let go of Wes Welker, we've let go of Richard Seymour, Logan Mankins. I can name a bunch of guys that won for us that we walked away from. So why are we going to waste our time with you who've never done anything here? And that might be exactly the environment that this kid needs. I say kid, I mean a 27-year-old adult. but it might be what he needs to sort of say, all right, I'm tired of losing, I'm tired of being a loser, and finally learn to straighten up and fly right.
So is it one dynasty, two dynasties, or three dynasties? Because as long as it's been going, it kind of feels like it's more than one.
Yeah, there was a weird kind of a serendipity that almost happened had they won last year against Philly, and believe me, I wanted to call this book Six Rings so badly you have no idea, where the beginning part of the century, they won one, lost one, then won two. Well, 2014 they won one, they didn't get to the Super Bowl the next year, and they were about to win two, and by the way, the last of each of those pieces would have been against Philadelphia. And right in the middle of that is a sort of a fulcrum is that 2017 that went 18-0 before losing to the Giants in the worst cosmic kick to the groin that any sports fan will ever experience. And I thought, okay, the one factor in all of those, the one player on the field has been the quarterback. There were like two guys who were on this team that were on the 07 team, Brady and the kicker, and there were only two guys that were on that first 2001 team and were on the 07 team. That's Brady and tackle Matt Light. So it's ridiculous that they've had that much turnover and still stay in the hunt every single year. And if anything, I think this iteration of them is better than the one that won 3 out of 4 at the beginning of the century.
Exactly, but the NFL has gotten tougher. It feels there are several teams out there that could give them good challenge.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, there are different ones every year. Certainly, you got to take Jacksonville seriously right now, but then you look at some of them that get close or break through, and then immediately fall apart. Baltimore being an example. They haven't gone back to the playoffs since the Patriots beat them in 2014. Pittsburgh right now is a white-hot dumpster fire, and they were supposed to be the big challengers. They almost had home field advantage last year, and that's what really defies the odds. Is everything in the NFL is set up to keep you from being successful over a long period of time. You win, everybody wants to get paid. You don't have high draft picks anymore. You have to lose in order to build yourself back up. And they somehow every year have managed to keep reloading without rebuilding, and it's nothing short of miraculous.
Exactly. That's why I kind of feel that they don't really have a rivalry with anybody in particular. I mean, they've had a couple different ones throughout the 18-year time period, starting with the Colts and, like you said, Pittsburgh at times and Jacksonville at times. But there's not really that one that, the entire time is kind of back and forth.
Yeah, Denver, I'd say, has gotten the better of them a lot of times, including twice in the championship game. But yeah, it's that old expression. Does the ant have a rivalry with the boot? I mean, Pittsburgh has just never been able to beat them. The Houston Texans have had some great teams, and I will never forget 2012. They came in here. They were 11-1. And they famously got off the plane for a Monday night game wearing Letterman jackets. They just beat them by like 3 touchdowns. They lost 3 out of their next 4 games, or 2 out of their next 3. And the Patriots trounced them in the playoffs again. The next year they went 2-12, 2-14, and hired their coach. So, every once in a while someone comes along and they're pretenders, and I think the rest of the country says, all right, now this Patriots run is over. These are the team that's going to unseat them, and we're still waiting. Because Lord knows Denver beat them, yes, but look at them now. So they're not coming back anytime soon, and the Pats look like they've got several more years of this run in them.
It used to be a question, but it almost is kind of rhetorical at this point. Brady and Belichick being the GOATs.
I don't know how anyone can dispute them, unless there's someone a lot older than me and you who can cite me chapter and verse of Vince Lombardi did this or George Halas did that. Bill Walsh, great innovator who took a downtrodden Niners team and turned them into champions in less than 1,000 days. And I respect all the guys I've just mentioned, but nobody has yet to do it in a free agency era where you can't keep all your best players. I mean, Lombardi, with all due respect, if Paul Hornung came to him and said, I want a new contract, he'd say, no. So, play or don't. I don't. You have no other option. And Belichick doesn't have that. So, he has repeatedly taken like his core guys that helped him win championships and let them go. Just professionally speaking, cut their throats, and then went home and slept like a baby afterwards. And it's strange to see it happen. It's say, thanks Lord Malloy, but we waived him 5 days before the season began. You moved on from Wes Welker and let guys retire without trying to get another year out of them. And that's the formula for success. It's hard, and there's times when it's really, I mean, watching Danny Amendola leave for Miami this offseason was really tough. But ultimately, we have a cliche around here, and it applies. It's in Bill we trust. It's okay to question his moves, but ultimately you go back and you say, who would you rather have making than this guy?
So if fans are wanting to get your book, where's the best places to do that at?
Yeah, it's available in bookstores everywhere. It's on Amazon. Go, a lot of bookstore owners don't like you to point that out. They want you to believe that Amazon is just a river in South America. And if, the link is there. If not, it's on jerrythornton.net, and I've got a lot of appearances in the Northeast where I'm going to be doing signings and so on. But James, I appreciate your time, and I hope that people will look at this and say, this is a remarkable story, even if I'm not a complete, Tom Brady file honk like the guy who wrote the book. I think it's a fascinating story, and I wouldn't have told it if I didn't think I could tell it with some laughs in there and make it for a wide appeal. And I hope I did it justice because, damn, it's been fun to write about it. It's been fun to talk about it. It's been fun to live it, believe me.
Definitely. I agree with you, Jerry. It's one of those stories that are a lot deeper than sports. It's, like you said, you can enjoy it on multiple levels, and we wish you the best with it.
Thank you for your time, and continued success to you too, James.
Excellent.